So let me just say, I watched the both type, primarily for the cis-bans and because one of the lead characters is a black woman. Kat Edison, played by Aisha Dee, is a character who is, yes, a best friend to white girls, but also has her own storyline as well. So yay, the show kind of does the bare minimum, but we all know there are issues with the writing. For one, I don't feel like they handle racial issues well. There are storylines with Kat that deal with her race and her racial identity. I have to say these episodes felt like the writers were very lightly touching on it. They didn't really go in depth. And do not get me started on the recent storyline Kat has with this conservative lesbian, Ava. Ava, the same one who defended her homophobic father and is partly the reason why Kat got fired from her job. So if you haven't caught up with the season, first off, I don't blame you. Kat has found a new job as a bartender at an exclusive women's club called The Bell after, the whole thing with Scarlet Magazine. She soon finds out that Ava is a member there, and it's very tense at first until Kat gets the hots for her. So let's review right quick. RJ, Ava's father, tried to keep a story about a boy who went to a gay conversion camp and ended up dead. Kat was hell-bent on releasing the story and confronted RJ on why he didn't want the story out. Kat found a connection between RJ and some high official who supported gay conversion therapy and leaked the info on Scarlett's account. Kat gets fired because of legal shit, and I believe Ava has something to do with it too. Cut to her bartending at the Bell, and Kat isn't trying to be a bartender for forever, so she's trying to elevate herself, so she pitches a new job for her boss. She's like, we could do a podcast and I could be the host, and her boss is like, okay, we'll give it a trial run. Kat's like, yay, okay. And through a series of unfortunate events, she figures that Ava would be a good candidate for her first guest. So Ava does go on her podcast and it ends up being a hit, and during her podcast, Kat finds out that Ava is a lesbian and is immediately attracted to her. Fucking ew, by the way. And let me tell you why Ava is fucking ew. Anyone who does this...
Okay, so when the issue of identity politics comes up in your circles, how do you combat the stigma that the conservative party is overall homophobic?
I don't combat it at all, because it's none of my business. I don't think that it should be brought up, nor should that fire be fanned.
Does not need to be lusted over or given the time of day. Anyone who identifies themselves with a group that is actively trying to take away the rights of the LGBTQIA community while also being a lesbian, fuck no. Anyways, the showrunner for the show, Wendy Straker-Hauser, did an interview with TV Line and she tried to defend the show's decision for Kat's attraction to Ava. Apparently the angle the show is taking is that Kat is attracted to a challenge and Ava represents someone that Kat can change for the better, so she's like a fixer-upper. Kat knows that they have different views, so she thinks that over time her influence would benefit her. And Kat likes the heated arguments that they have. This is what the showrunner is saying. And I've never seen Kat as the save a hoe type, so what the F? Even in the episodes prior, before her big hookup with Ava, she storms out of a conversation because she can't stand the different opinions of others. She has little patience for those who don't value her views. The fans didn't like the storyline Kat was given and signed it off, including Aisha Dee. Aisha also had some grievances with the storyline and revealed that the bold type has a diversity issue. On her Instagram, she mentions her experiences with racism on going there from Australia in the 90s, the importance of seeing black bodies in media, especially to her when she's growing up in literally a space dominated by white people and her usually being the only black person there. It was like this whole long letter, basically. Later on, she mentions the show. She gives props to the show about giving her, an opportunity to play a black person with their own shit going on and who's queer. And she loves her co-stars. But then she mentions something else. She states, I always try to bring up my concerns in a positive and constructive way, conscious of the realities that come with being the only woman of color in the room. I never wanted to come across as ungrateful, negative, or difficult. The constant scrutiny of myself as an individual, as well as a character I play, made me feel apprehensive to bring up any concerns outside the workplace. Because, she doesn't want to be the angry black woman or labeled difficult to work with. But now more than ever, you have to sign off on grievances about diversity in the workplace. Dee later states that the bold type only had one BIPOC writer, no queer writers, or Muslim ones, and only one black person to direct 2 episodes out of their 48 episode run. And no one knew how to do her hair until season 3, which I believe her hair is so beautiful, low-key, not even low-key, high-key. Her hair is so beautiful, it should be its own character. In fact, it should have its own segments, like hair tutorials, like they do for Grownish. The decision to have Kat enter into a relationship with a privileged conservative woman felt confusing and out of character. Despite my personal feelings about the choice, I try my best to tell the story with honesty. Even though the Kat that I know and love would never make those choices, it was heartbreaking to watch Kat's story turn into a redemption story for someone else. Someone who was complicit in the oppression of so many. Someone whose politics are actively harmful to her communities. When she said that, I was like, yeah, she hit the nail on the head, because Kat became a reduced supporting character to a side character? Like, what the fuck? Like, also she mentions the microaggressions she's facing in the business, Aisha does. Then she says she's being super critical on the show because she believes that it can do better. Apparently she's been in meetings with the writers and the producers of the show and the executives, and she encourages them not to only talk the talk, but also walk it. So here's to having more diverse and more in-depth stories on their side characters. You know, including Kat, you know, she's not a side character, but she's a main one, but she needs more in-depth and better storylines along with Oliver, Alex. Also, I miss their pair-ups. Like, I miss Alex and Kat just being together. I know in this season we kind of see that a little, but I want to see more of that. I also want to see more of Oliver and Kat. Like, when they had their little black people meetup, that was super cute. I want more of that. More of Adina. I want to hear more of her background, her experiences, more of Adina, and also more of Patrick. Like, Patrick really came out this season. I want to hear more about him. Yes, please, especially him with Alex. I love him. Okay, thank you for watching. Goodbye.